Okay, I think we are live. Let me see here. Yes, I think we are live. All right, everybody. Oh, good to see you, Latoya. That was quick. Good to see you. Okay. All right, so we'll get started. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. So today, I want to share some information with you that can help you make six figures or even more in sales. What I teach actually helps people in all types of sales. So it really doesn't matter what you're selling because it applies. Okay. So I'm going to start by, excuse me, I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about my story and how I got started in sales. Okay. So I actually got started in sales by accident. And how it happened was I was a marketing major in college, and I wanted to get into advertising or something where I can be behind the scenes, where I'm not the one out there, right? Um, and I figured, if I'm in advertising and I create the slogans and things of that nature, the actors will go up and actually, they'll do the work, and I won't have to get in front of anybody. So after graduating college, I got a job with Xerox, and Xerox at the time was a big Fortune 500 company, and I wanted to be in advertising, and they told me that they don't have any positions in advertising available, but I can start in sales. So I was quite disappointed because I didn't want to sell. I don't even like salespeople, right? I didn't want to sell. But they told me that after a couple years that I can get into advertising. Now I didn't know that that's what they tell everybody. I didn't know that, right? So I said, okay, great. I'll just do this for now. So anyway, I started my sales career, and I was horrible at it. I was literally horrible at it. At the time, you can sell copiers, you can sell toner that goes with copiers, you can sell paper. I couldn't even sell paper. I couldn't sell anything. That's how bad I was. And after about 60 days, I figured they're gonna fire me soon. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, I think I'm just gonna quit before they fire me. And he said no. He said, don't do that. He said, just find somebody that sells the way you would like to sell, right? Maybe someone that's not pushy or salesy. So what I did was, thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. So what I did was I asked the guy, his name is Brian. I remember vividly. He was one of the top reps. He was actually the top rep. I asked him if I could follow him or shadow him around, right? Just to learn what he does, right? And maybe I could learn some tricks of the trade, right? And so he said, yeah. So I started following him around, and I would have a we didn't have iPads back then, right? No iPads or things like that. So I had a notepad, a yellow notepad. And I noticed we would go to a company, and we would go to a company, and he would just get to know them. He would just ask them questions about, like, if he could see a picture on your desk of maybe a little girl, he would say, "Oh, is that your daughter? Oh, wow, how old is she?" And he would just make conversation. But what he was doing is he was getting to know people. He was what we call building rapport. I didn't know that, right? He was just getting everybody to like him. So, then after a while, he would ask them about their copier, but he won't say, like, "What's wrong with your copier?" No, he would say, "Well, so let's talk about your copier. So what do you like about it?" And then they'll say what they like about it, and then they'll say, "Well, is there anything you don't like about it?" And then they'll tell him their problems. And what he was doing is he was finding out their problems, right? So let's say they say something like, "Well, our copier, it jams a lot. It just jams. And then when it jams, Then we have to take out the paper, or we have to call them to come fix it. And then he would say, really? So when that happens, how does it affect your business? And then they'll talk about how it affects their business. And what he was doing, he was magnifying the problem. I didn't know that, right? So after a while, after all those problems they told him about, then he would say, well, you know what? Based on what you told me, I think I have a copier that would work better for you. And then he would show them the copier and say, what on the, not show the physical copier, but show them on the in the booklet that we used to bring with us. And he'll say, this is what I recommend. And people will say, okay, I'll get it. And I'll be like, whoa, how did he do that? He wasn't even selling, right? So, first lesson I learned in sales is that you just want to help people. You want to help people get to where they want to go. Okay. Now, what really, really blew my mind was we went to this one company where it was a big company, and we were there for maybe about 40 minutes or so. And after we were done, he stands up and he gives them his card, right? And he says, well, Canon, which was our competitor, he said, Canon, they're doing a great job for you guys. And, we can't really beat them. So if you have any questions about copiers or anything like that, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you. So he didn't sell them on anything, right? Oh, thanks, Carl. I appreciate that. He didn't sell them on anything, right? So I'm like, why didn't you try to sell them? Because we have all these copiers, we could sell them. He said, here's the deal. When you meet with a prospect, you have to leave them better off than you found them. So if your solution is not going to work for them, or they have a better solution right now, do not try and sell them anything. And I thought about it and I said, wow, I didn't know you could be compassionate and sell at the same time. That's when I decided I'm going to be a compassionate salesperson. And fast forward about 6 months later or so, or maybe 7 months, I was one of the top sales reps with the company. By 18 months, I was in the top 3%. I was winning trips. I was obviously making a lot of money in my 20s, like six figures. I was winning awards. I was on the leaderboard. And my life just changed because I learned how to sell with compassion, right? So that's how I started out. And then, I moved up to manager, supervisor, vice president of sales. Then I went to another company. And that's how my career started. And then after that, I decided I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I want to be an entrepreneur. That's when I left the company I was with. I started a production company at the time, for entertainers, speakers, things of that nature. But anyway, I started in the world of entrepreneurship, and I did a lot of different things. I did network marketing, I did affiliate marketing, I did all kinds of stuff. But fast forward to now. So what I do now is I help entrepreneurs 2x, 3x, even 10x their sales without being pushy or salesy. And I have a lot of experience, right? I've sold well over $30 million worth of products and services. And I don't say this to impress you in any way. I say it to tell you that whatever I share with you is real. It's what I've been doing for over 20 years, right? I'm not making it up. I didn't read it in a book. I did it. I have sold door to door. I have sold on the phone. I have sold on Zoom. I've sold in person. I've sold one to one. I've sold to companies. I've sold to corporations, right? I've had national accounts where a national account is like Coca-Cola, right? Where I'm selling to different branches in the country, right? So I've done all of that. So that's what qualifies me to teach sales, right? And also, I have a lot of testimonials. If you go to successwitheric.com and click on work with me, you'll see a ton of testimonials, right? So people that have written a testimonial because they love what I've taught them, right? So today I'm going to share some things with you. I think I have like 6 or 7 points that can help you to elevate your sales, right? If you've ever wanted to make six figures or even more, you can do it. Because I think one misconception that people have is people think that you're born with sales skills. No, it's a learnable skill. You can become good at sales no matter what you're selling. Okay, so first, so take that out of your mind. If you're like, well, I'm not a salesperson, and I'm an introvert, that has nothing to do with it. Actually, introverts do much better at sales. And why? Because they're more trustworthy, right? If you're meeting people every day and you're loud and you're boisterous, and people tend to shy away from that because they know you're a salesperson. But if you're not, and you're not loud, maybe you're reserved or you're quiet, now they're more likely to buy from you because they trust you, right? So whoever you are, you can learn how to sell. Okay. So let's start with this. Number one, when you meet with any prospect, right, the first thing you want to do is build rapport, right? I hear people say, let's just jump right in, and they start selling. Never do that. Oh, welcome, Auntie Shaky. Good to see you. Good to see you. T.S. Brandith, good to see you. Welcome. Right? So they just jump right in, and you never want to do that, right? You want to build rapport. Now, what's building rapport? You find common ground, right? So let's say I'm meeting with someone who lives in California. I've only been to California once in my life, and that was when I went to Disneyland, right? So I can talk about my trip, right, to Disneyland, or I can talk about somebody I know in California. But whatever it is, we're going to talk about California because that's where they live, right? Welcome, Genevieve. Good to see you. Right. So you want to build, yeah, and now another thing, you want to be genuine, right? So if you're sitting with someone and you see their dog walk by, and you say something like, "Oh, what kind of dog is it?" and you don't like dogs, you don't know anything about dogs, then don't talk about dogs. Right, right. So be real. It has to be something that you genuinely are into, right? Because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So you want them to get to like you before you talk about your offer, right? Before you talk about your offer, get to know them. And let me tell you something. It doesn't matter who it is. You can relate to them somehow, whether you both have kids, whether you both lived in the same area before, whether you both went to college. You can find something to talk about. And when all else fails, find something. Let's say if they're on Zoom, find something in their background, right? So, like for me, you see these right here. Say something about my poster, or my books, or something, right? You want to get to know them. All right. So now, why do you want people to know, like, and trust you? Because if they know, like, and trust you, then it's not a sale. It's just a conversation amongst friends, right? It's not a sale. You won't feel, there's no pressure when it's someone that you like, right? In the first story that I was talking to you about, Brian, the reason why Brian sold so much was the people he was selling to did not look at it as a sale. They look at it as Brian is just a nice guy, and he's giving us advice on copiers, and we're going to take his advice, and we buy, right? Because he built rapport. All right, so now you built rapport. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to set an agenda for your meeting. Set an agenda. Have you ever met someone before, maybe, because a lot of people are on Zoom now, so let's say on Zoom, and you want to start the call, and then the person just starts saying things like, yeah, so how much is it? Or yeah, I don't have much time, but I have like 10 minutes. So let's go. What do you got? What do you got? Now, if that happens to you and you start rushing and telling them what you have, then you lost control over the call. You are very likely not to sell that day because they have control. The person asking the questions is in control of the call. Write that down. The person asking the questions is in control of the call. So if someone gets on a call with you and they're just asking you questions like an interrogation, you probably won't make a sale. Because first of all, they'll get you flustered, and you're defensive, right? So I'm going to give you some tips today on how to control the call. Okay. So first thing you want to do is you want to set the agenda. So let's say you're meeting for 30 minutes. You want to say, okay, John, so we're going to be here for about 30 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna start by asking you a few questions about your business or about your family, whatever you're talking about. And then afterwards, if I see that my service could be a good fit for you, then I'll share the details of it. Okay. And then you'll have some time to ask any questions, and then make a decision on whether you want to move forward or not. Fair enough? So now what I just did is I just control the whole call. I told them how long the call will be. In other words, don't ramble for 2 hours. We only got 30 minutes. All right. All right. All right. So I told them how long it's going to be. I told them I asked permission to ask questions because I have to ask you questions. Right. Okay. Then I told them that this may not even be for you. I don't even know if this is for you. We'll find out, but I don't know. People are more likely to buy from you if you give them a way out not to buy. I know it sounds weird, but it's true, right? I say it all the time. You know, you know, Pam, this may not even be for you, but let me tell you how it works, and we'll see. Now, what happens is Pam's guard goes down because now she's thinking, Eric is not going to try and sell me. He said it may not be for me. You see how that works? But if you go to someone and say, hey, Pam, you got to get this. This is going to help you. It's going to help your family. You got to get it. Guess what Pam's going to do? Not interested. You see? I know it's counterintuitive, but trust me, that's how it works, right? Do the takeaway. Do the takeaway, right? I don't know if this is for you or not, but let me share with you anyway. Okay? That's powerful. When you do that, people listen to you more because now they don't feel pressure to buy, right? You notice I said you could at the end of our call, you can make a decision whether to buy or not. That's crucial. When I said or not, they're like, oh, I don't have to buy. Let's see what he's got. You see what I'm saying? All right. So that's creating the agenda. Okay. So that's number 2, I believe. All right. So let's see. The next one is yes. That next one is asking the magic questions. Now, magic questions. Now I'm not going to go over all of them. There are probably about 10 or so, but you know, questions are crucial. Like I said, the person asking the questions is in control. The number one question you want to know, if someone books a call with you, the question you want to find out is why they booked the call. Don't assume you know. Okay, so what inspired you to book a call today? Because whatever they say is what they need from you. Okay. All right. So one question that you want to ask is you want to find out what their number one goal is. Their number one goal, what's the number one result that they want to accomplish? That's crucial. Don't assume that you know because you may not know, right? Right. What's the number one goal? You want to know what that is. All right. And then once you find out, once they say it, then you want to dig deep, right? Because they're just going to give you a generic answer, right? So a good example is this. Let's say you're a realtor and someone comes to you and says, yeah, we want to move out of our house and and get a bigger house. That's why we need your services. Okay. So why do you need a bigger house? Well, so my son and my daughter, they have to split a room because they have to share a room rather because we only have 2 rooms. And my daughter is getting older now, and she doesn't feel comfortable sharing a room with her brother. Okay, okay, all right. So okay, so you're really doing it for your children? Yes, I'm doing it for my children. Okay, okay, all right. So okay, so that's why you need. Is there any other reason? Yeah. Also, we live in a bad neighborhood, and it's dangerous, and I want to move to a nicer area. Okay, great. So what I'm doing is I'm gathering the information. I'm gathering what they want, right? Now here's a question. 90% of people don't ask this question. Write this down. When they tell you what it is they want, ask them, if you achieve this, if you accomplish this, how would it make you feel? Look, that question is fire. I kid you not. Why? Because most people buy off emotion and not logic. So you want to know how it's going to make them feel. And when you'll notice their eyes will light up, right? So let's say you're talking, same example, you're talking to this guy, he wants to move because of his children and because of the bad neighborhood. And he says, so John, if I were to find you a house that's much bigger, 3 bedroom, in a nice area, and your daughter is able to have her own room, right? And and now you live in a safe neighborhood, how would that make you feel? And he would say, oh my goodness, man, I would sleep better at night. I just feel like a good father. Really? Okay, great. So now you have just separated yourself from all the realtors out there that are just going to say, okay, what do you want? 2 bedroom, this, that, okay, right? Because you got them to talk about their feelings. Okay, that's important. You got them to talk about their feelings, how they would feel. All right. And the reason you do that is once you find the place for them, right? You found the house, you found everything, and they say something like, well, Eric, we're just gonna hold off for like 6 months and then think about it for a while. Now you're gonna say, oh, wait, I'm sorry, I thought you were moving because your daughter was uncomfortable staying in the same room with her brother, and that you don't want your children to live in a bad area. Isn't that why you're moving? And they're like, yeah. Oh, and so I don't understand why you want to wait 6 months. Now they're thinking, oh, wow, that's right. You got a point there. And they talk themselves into buying that house. Okay. But the only reason they were able to do that is because you found out how they felt. Right. All right. So let's keep going. All right. So talking about magic questions. Oh, by the way, I know some of you may have to jump off. If you want more information, like I can, I'm going to be done soon. If you want to learn more about sales, go to compassionatecloser.com, compassionatecloser.com. Okay. And number one, you'll be able to grab my free ebook. Okay. How to triple your sales and become more persuasive. Okay. You grab my free ebook. I also have a masterclass, 15 minutes, fire. Okay. I know I'm biased, but it is fire. Okay. You'll learn a lot. And then also, I have another cohort for my coaching program next week, and I'm doing a promotion, Memorial Day promotion, if you will, 50% off my coaching. So if you're interested in that, then just book a call, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not. All right. All right. So let's keep going. Now, you want to find out. You want to find out. By the way, thank you so much, Genevieve. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you, Carl. Thank you. Um, so let's keep going. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So you want to find out what their problem is too. What their problem is, right? Their number one problem, right? Now, how do you do that? You can't say what's your problem. You can't say what's your problem, right? So you are going to say something like, okay, what's stopping you or slowing you down from accomplishing your goal, right? And you can use that for anything you're doing, really, anything you're doing, right? What's stopping you or slowing you down from achieving your goal? And then they're going to tell you their problems, right? Okay, so now you know their problems. And the reason why you want to ask these questions, excuse me, is so you can sell like a doctor. Let me tell you what I mean by sound like a doctor. If you are going to the doctors and you went to the doctors and you're there and the doctor walks in and says, uh, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and give you some antibiotics. It worked for the last guy and the lady before him. So here's your prescription, and walks out. You're gonna be like, this is malpractice. They don't know what's wrong with me, right? That's what that's what we do. That's what people do in sales. They just they just pitch, right? But selling like a doctor is when you find out what their symptoms are, right? You find out what their symptoms are, right? When you go to a doctor, they ask you, so what's going on with you, right? How long has it been going on, right? The same thing in business. Someone tells you a problem, you say, well, how long have you had the problem, right? So you're selling like a doctor, right? Then the doctor finds out what's wrong with you, right? And then prescribes a medicine that will help you to become better, right? Prescribes the right medicine, right? That's appropriate for you based on your history and all of that, right? So that's selling like a doctor. So now what you do is this: you've asked the right questions, right? I gave you like three or so, right? In my coaching, I think I go over 10. But you ask the right questions. Now you share your offer, and then you share your offer, but you share it in the context of what they need specifically, right? So you don't just give them generic answers, it's what they need. For instance, if you're a weight loss coach and you meet with somebody and they say they want to lose 20 pounds in 4 months, right? When you are sharing your offer, you're going to use those words that they said. If they said, you ask them the question, so why do you want to lose 20 pounds in 4 months? Well, I want to fit into my old jeans, number one. Number two, I'm pre-diabetic and I don't want to become diabetic. So I need to lose some weight. Or I get tired when I'm playing with my kids, right? And I don't want to be tired anymore. Great. So now when you're going over your offer, you're going to use the examples that he said, right? With my vitamins or with my exercise routine or whatever it is, you will be able to lose up to 20 pounds, or up to 20 pounds. You'll be able to fit into those old jeans. Imagine being able to play with your kids without being tired, right? That's what my program that can do for you. You see what I'm saying? You're specific because you asked the questions. All right. So that's selling like a doctor. Now, let me go into real quick. Um, let's talk about objections. Now, objections is a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people um, they get nervous when someone has an objection, right? I need to talk to my spouse. Oh, people fall apart. I need to right? Or it's too expensive, right? Or I need to think about it. Now, understand that there's a way to overcome objections. Any objection. I can overcome any objection. Why? Because I have experience and I know what to say. That's not to say that I'll get every sale, like people will buy all the time. No, some people won't buy. But at least if you know how to overcome objections, you maximize your chances of the sale. Okay. So let me give you an example. If someone says, yeah, I heard what you said, but I have to think about it. Now, that objection right there, it kills a lot of people sales. A lot of their sales are just dead. Right? When they say, I have to think about it. Because they say, okay, well, think about it and get back with me. So here's what you want to do. You want to find out exactly what they are thinking about because you want to address it right now. Right. So this is what I would say. Someone says, "Well, Eric, I have to think about it, before I make a decision." Okay, okay, because you always acknowledge them, right? Don't ignore it. Some people teach you to ignore it. Don't ignore it. Acknowledge them. Okay, okay. So tell me this: what exactly do you need to think about? Is it the price or is it something else? Now, when they tell you it's the price, then you can talk about it, right? When they tell you it's something else, you can talk about it, right? So you want to narrow down to find out what they want to think about so you can address it, right? So that's very important. And I won't go through all of them because simply don't have time. But grab my ebook, compassioncloser.com. That will definitely help you. All right. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the importance of storytelling. Importance of storytelling. Now, so I know we have people here, and then you're in all walks of life. So, let me use an example of, let's say you're selling perfume. Okay, let's say you're selling perfume. All right, I know someone that's on here selling perfume. All right. Um, when you meet with someone to talk about your perfume, don't just talk about the perfume. Because if you just talk about the perfume, they can compare it to other companies or other perfume, right? So for instance, let's say you say, well, let me see. It's funny because I actually have a bottle of your perfume, Genevieve. No, I don't even see where it is. Okay, it's over there. All right. Yeah, but anyway, I have a bottle. But anyway, if you're saying that this is excellent, you need to get this, and then they're like, how much is it? And then you tell them, and they're like, well, I can get it from some other lady, and it's cheaper. So now you're going back and forth, right? You're going back and forth. Now it's like an argument. So, but wow, I don't know how you did that, Genevieve. I like that. I like whatever you did. Do it again. That's awesome. I appreciate it. She did like fireworks for me. Anyway, um, yeah, but instead, tell them a story of someone that bought that perfume, right? And maybe when they bought that perfume, how they stood out in a crowd or how everybody was complimenting them. Because the person you're talking to now is thinking, I want to have that experience, right? I want to have that experience because people buy off emotion, not logic. I want to have that emotion, that experience. So even if your perfume is more expensive, the fact that they want that experience, they'll pay a little bit more, right? So you separate yourself from a lot of other people selling what you sell when you are using stories and you're not just using facts. Facts tell, stories sell. The facts is not what does. People say, "Well, Eric, there's this juice. It came from some tribe in Kenya. It's really hard to find, and that's what, like, that doesn't really matter to me. I just want to know how it's going to help me, right? So all those facts is too much, right? Just tell me how it's going to help me, but tell me by telling me stories of how it helped other people. That's powerful. Okay, stories. So why do you want to tell stories? Stories are emotional. People will remember a story because of the emotion behind it. People will remember it, right? Um, if you're a coach, let's say you're a life coach, right? Um, and you're talking to somebody and they have issues going on in their life. And instead of telling them, okay, you need to do this, and then you'll get this, tell them a story of someone that used your method to become successful. Oh, here's another tip. Here's another tip. You can use stories of people that you actually did not have a first-hand account with. In other words, they're not your clients, as long as you don't lie, right? So if you go online and you hear a story of somebody who used the same method you use, then you can say, I know of a lady who used this method and this was her result. And you're like, wow, I need that. I need to do that. I need to get your program. You see? So you're not saying you coach them or no, you're saying that method works through a story. Okay. Stories are relatable. So I know a lady that I work with. She's spoken on one of my stages, and she helps people that are 50 years or older to do videos online, monetize their videos and stuff, things of that nature. Now, for most people over 50, they didn't grow up with social media. They don't want to do videos. So I asked her, so how do you get people that are over 50 to all of a sudden start doing videos? She said, because I show them sites are videos, are YouTube channels of other people that are in their 50s or 60s that are doing videos and are monetizing them. And they're like, oh, wow, I can do it too. You see, stories sell because now they're like, I can do it. They can relate to the story. All right. So that's why you want to use stories. And like I said before, they're indisputable. In other words, people can't argue with your story, right? They can argue with your product. They can argue with how much it is. They can argue with almost anything, but they can't argue with the story. A story is a story. It is what it is, right? So I want you to have multiple stories, right? I remember when I was in network marketing and I was, building teams. I used to have a story of the single parent. I would have a story. I had stories of an older gentleman. I had stories of a family. I had stories of the couple. I had so many stories for everybody's situation, right? Because I know that those are they're more powerful than just the facts, right? You want to have stories. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We've been here about 35 minutes. Like I said, you can grab my ebook, compassionatecloser.com. If you want to be a part of my coaching, compassionate closer coaching, starts next week. Okay. And I'm giving everybody 50% off. So I've never actually done that before. So if you're interested, go to compassionatecloser.com. You can book a call with me and then we can talk. And if it's for you, fine. If it's not, perfectly okay. Perfectly okay. I just want to make sure that I leave you better off than I found you when we talk. All right. So with that, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure to be with you today. Take care. Bye-bye. Appreciate all of you for being on. Thanks, Carl, Genevieve. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.